Have you ever gotten a raise and somehow still felt broke a few months later? Like your income went up, but your life didn't actually change? That's not bad luck. You're stuck in a trap almost everyone falls into. So I want you to think about the last time you got a raise at work. Maybe it was a few $100s a month. Maybe it was a few thousand. Either way, you remember feeling pretty good about it, right? Like things were finally about to get a little easier, a little more breathing room. Maybe you'd finally start putting more away, or pay down some debt, or actually start investing. And then, 6 months later, you check your bank account, and somehow you're in the exact same spot you were before the raise. Sound familiar? Because here is the thing, and this is something most people never actually sit down and think about. It is entirely possible to earn more money every single year for a decade straight and actually end up less wealthy than when you started. And the reason is not bad luck. It is not the economy. It is not inflation, even though that definitely plays a role. It is something way more silent than all of that, and it is sitting right there in your everyday life, hiding in plain sight. We are going to talk about what it is, why almost nobody catches it until it is too late, and exactly what you can do about it. And I will also show you what happens to your money if you do get this under control, because the numbers are honestly kind of wild. Let's get into it. So first, let's just be honest about something. Most of us were never really taught how wealth actually works. Like, we were told to get a good job, work hard, get promotions, earn more money, and somehow that was supposed to lead to financial security. And sure, income matters. But here is what nobody really tells you. Income and wealth are not the same thing. Income is what comes in. Wealth is what stays. And those two numbers can be completely different depending on one thing: what you do every time your income goes up. Now, according to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, the average American household earned just over $104,000 before taxes in 2024, and that same household spent $78,535 that year. So on paper, there is a gap there. There is room to save, room to invest, room to build something. But here is the part that should make you stop and think. The American personal savings rate as of late 2024 was just 3.8% of disposable income. 3.8%. That is near historic lows. So incomes are at record highs, and savings rates are near record lows. How does that happen? That is exactly the question this video is going to answer. All right. So the number one wealth killer that nobody really talks about, and I mean this in the sense that everyone kind of knows about it, but nobody takes it seriously, is something called lifestyle creep. You might also hear it called lifestyle inflation. Same thing. Here is the simple version. Lifestyle creep is what happens when your spending rises every single time your income rises. You get a raise, you upgrade something. You get a bonus, you buy something nicer. Your income goes up 5%, and almost automatically, your expenses go up 5% too, sometimes more. And here is the sneaky part. It never feels like a problem in the moment because every single upgrade feels completely reasonable and honestly kind of deserved. You worked hard for that raise. Why shouldn't you enjoy it a little? But here is what is actually happening under the hood. You are not getting ahead. You are running faster on the same treadmill, and most people do not realize it until they are in their 40s or 50s, earning 6 figures, and still living paycheck to paycheck, wondering where the money went. And that last part is not an exaggeration. According to recent data, about 40% of Americans earning over $100,000 a year say they are living paycheck to paycheck. Some surveys put that number even higher. Think about that for a second. 6-figure income. Paycheck to paycheck. That is lifestyle creep doing exactly what it does. So why does this happen? Why do smart, hard-working people keep falling into this trap over and over again? There are basically two psychological forces at play here, and they both work against you quietly. The first one is called hedonic adaptation. This is basically just a fancy way of saying that humans get used to things really fast. You buy a nicer apartment, and for the first month it feels amazing. Then it just becomes home, the baseline. And now your old apartment, the one you were totally fine living in 6 months ago, would feel like a step backward. So what do? You keep upgrading. The upgrade becomes the new normal, which then demands another upgrade to feel the same satisfaction you felt before. It is a loop. The second one is social comparison. Here is a personal story. I had a friend, good guy, worked hard, got a solid promotion a couple of years back, and within about a year of that promotion, he had moved into a nicer place, leased a new car, started going to nicer restaurants on weekends. Now, none of that sounds crazy on its own, but when I asked him how his savings were doing, he kind of laughed it off and said, "Things are tight right now." This guy got a 30% raise, and things were tight, because everyone around him had upgraded too. So his spending felt normal. It felt like just keeping up, and that is exactly how lifestyle creep works. It never feels like overspending because everybody around you is doing the same thing. Alright, so let me actually show you how this plays out in dollars and cents, because I think seeing the actual numbers is what really hits home. Let's say you are 28 years old and you just got a promotion. Your take-home pay goes up by $1,000 a month. Nice. So what happens to that $1,000? If you are like most people, here is roughly where it goes. You move into a slightly nicer apartment, or maybe you just upgrade your current place a bit. There is an extra $200 a month right there. Then you start going out to eat more because, hey, you earned it. Maybe an extra $150 a month in restaurants. You sign up for a couple of new streaming services you have been putting off, maybe a nicer gym, a few new subscriptions here and there. That is another $80 a month easy. You upgrade your phone when the new one comes out because now you can actually afford the monthly payment. Call it another $30 a month. You treat yourself to a few nicer vacations per year, which spreads out to maybe $150 a month on average, and then maybe you buy or lease a nicer car, and that is another $200 to $300 a month in payments plus insurance. Add all of that up and your $1,000 raise is gone. Sometimes more than gone. And each one of those decisions felt totally fine by itself. The apartment upgrade was reasonable. The gym membership was for your health. The car was a practical decision, but together, they just absorbed every dollar of your raise and left nothing for your future. Now here is where it gets really important. Because what I just described is not just a spending problem. It is an opportunity cost problem. So let's talk about what would have happened if instead of letting that $1,000 raise disappear into lifestyle upgrades, you had taken just half of it, just $500 a month, and invested it. Now I am going to use some real numbers here. If you are 28 years old and you put $500 a month into a broad market index fund and you leave it alone, assuming the stock market's historical average return of about 7% per year, which is actually a conservative estimate considering the S&P 500 has averaged closer to 9.5% historically, here is what happens. By the time you are 65, that $500 a month grows to roughly $1.2 to $1.4 million from $500 a month. That is money you probably would have spent on stuff you barely even remember buying. Now compare that to someone who starts doing the same thing at age 40 instead of 28. Same $500 a month, same 7% return. By age 65, they end up with around $380,000. That is not bad, but it is not $1.2 million either. That gap, about $800,000 to $1 million, that is the cost of 12 years of lifestyle creep. That is what those restaurant upgrades and streaming services and car payments actually cost you in real terms. And I think when people see it laid out like that, it kind of reframes the whole thing. Because when you are swiping your card for a $70 dinner, you are not really spending $70. You are spending the $70 plus whatever that $70 could have compounded into over the next 30 or 40 years. Obviously, you have to live your life and enjoy some of it. But the point is, most people have no idea that the math works this way. Alright, so now that we know what lifestyle creep is and why it is so damaging, let me give you some ways to actually spot it before it eats your raise. The clearest warning sign is this. Your savings rate has not moved even though your income has gone up. If you were saving 8% of your income 2 years ago and you are still saving 8% today despite multiple raises, that is a red flag. Your actual dollar amount going into savings might be a little higher, but your savings rate being flat means lifestyle creep is consuming every raise. Another one, and this is something I do personally, is pull up your bank or credit card statement and look at your monthly subscriptions. Not once a year, like once every quarter, because here is what typically happens. You sign up for one streaming service. Fine. Then another one because they have that one show. Then a music app. Then a premium version of some app you kind of use. Then a gym you go to twice a month. Then a meal kit service you used twice and forgot to cancel. A 2024 analysis found the average household carries multiple recurring subscription charges, and most people could not tell you exactly what they are paying without actually looking it up. Pull up that statement and add them up. You might be surprised. A third way to catch it is to track what I call your lifestyle floor. That is basically the minimum monthly spend you feel like you need to be comfortable. If that number keeps creeping up every year without you consciously deciding to raise it, that is lifestyle creep at work. All right, so now the part you actually want. What do you actually do about this? Tip number 1. Automate your savings before you can touch it. This is genuinely the single most effective thing you can do, and I think most people know about it, but very few actually set it up. The idea is simple. Every time you get a raise, before you ever adjust your spending, you go into your bank or your 401k settings and you increase your automated savings contribution first. If you never see the money land in your checking account, you cannot lifestyle creep on it. What you do not see, you do not spend. A simple rule that a lot of financial planners recommend is the 50-50 rule for raises. Whenever you get a raise, you commit half of the after-tax increase to savings or investments, and you let yourself spend the other half on lifestyle improvements. That way you still enjoy the raise, but you also actually get ahead with it. Tip number 2. Run an annual subscription audit. Seriously. Put a date on your calendar once a year. I do mine in January, and go line by line through your credit card statement looking for recurring charges. Cancel anything you do not use regularly. This is also a great time to call your insurance company, your phone carrier, your internet provider, and ask if there is a better rate available. I have done this with my internet provider for 4 years in a row. Every single year I call, tell them things are a little tight, ask if there is a promotional rate available, and every single year they find one. It is not complicated, it just requires you to actually make the call. Tip number 3. Give every raise a 30-day waiting period before you upgrade your lifestyle. Lifestyle creep moves fast. You get good news and your brain immediately starts thinking about what you can now afford. The 30-day rule just pumps the brakes on that instinct. You keep living the same way for 30 days after a raise. You let the new income accumulate, and then you decide deliberately and intentionally what, if anything, you want to upgrade. The key word is intentionally. Intentional spending is not lifestyle creep. Lifestyle creep is the unconscious, automatic upgrade. There is a real difference. Tip number 4. Track your savings rate. Not just your savings amount. This is a mindset shift, but it matters. A lot of people measure their financial progress by the total dollar amount in their savings account. But a better metric is your savings rate, the percentage of your income that you actually save each month. If your income goes up from $5,000 to $7,000 a month, but your savings goes from $400 to $420, your rate actually dropped. The dollar amount went up, but you got worse. Tracking the rate keeps you honest. So let me zoom out for a second because I think it is important to talk about what the opposite of lifestyle creep actually looks like in practice. There is a concept that some people in the financial independence community call living below your means intentionally. And it sounds kind of miserable when you say it like that, but it really is not. Because here is the thing. The research actually shows that once people hit a certain baseline of comfort, more spending does not make them proportionally happier. There is a well-known study that for a long time suggested day-to-day happiness tends to plateau around $75,000 to $80,000 in income, or closer to $100,000 to $110,000 when you adjust for today's dollars. The point is not that money does not matter. It is that above a certain floor, more stuff does not necessarily mean more happiness. But more invested money? That actually does something. That buys you options. That buys you the ability to leave a job you hate. That buys you early retirement. That buys you time. And time is the one thing that compound interest actually requires. I will leave you with this. Imagine two people. They both earn the same income their entire career. They both work hard. They both get similar raises. The only difference is one of them let lifestyle creep consume every raise. The other one automated half of every raise into investments and kept their lifestyle roughly stable for most of their 30s and 40s. By the time they are both 60, one of them has options. The other one needs to keep working. Same income, same career, completely different financial outcomes because of one quiet, invisible habit. That is how powerful this is. And that is why nobody talks about it, because it does not feel dramatic. There is no single bad decision to point to, no catastrophic mistake, just 1,000 small upgrades that each made perfect sense in the moment. All right, let me bring it home. Here are the 4 things I want you to actually remember and act on after this video. Number 1. Automate your savings every single time you get a raise. Increase your contribution before you ever touch the new money. What you do not see, you do not spend. Number 2. Do a subscription audit at least once a year. Pull up your statement, add up every recurring charge, cancel anything you are not actively using. Then call your providers and ask for a better rate. This one phone call can save you hundreds of dollars a year. Number 3. Track your savings rate, not just your savings balance. If your rate is not going up as your income goes up, lifestyle creep is winning. Number 4. Give yourself a 30-day rule on any lifestyle upgrade after a raise. Let the money sit. Decide intentionally. Conscious spending is totally fine. Unconscious spending is the enemy. The goal here is not to never enjoy your money. The goal is to make sure that every time you earn more, some of it actually stays with you and works for you, instead of just disappearing into a slightly nicer version of the same life you were already living. All right, guys, that is the video. If you want more content like this covering money, business, and economics, make sure to check out the free newsletter linked down below. We put it out twice a week, and it is completely free. Let me know in the comments if this hit home for you, or if you have ever caught yourself in the lifestyle creep trap. I know I have. See you in the next one.